Vaccine mandates in the state. What more do we know about that?
Yeah, this just happened. The Surgeon General had a press conference, and some of the language he used to justify his reason for eliminating these vaccine mandates is disturbing. Let's take a listen.
Who am I to tell you what your child should put in your body? I don't have that right. Your body is a gift from God. What you put into your body is because of your relationship with your body and your God. I don't have that right. Government does not have that right.
He likened the vaccine mandates to slavery, and that's what is getting a lot of attention here in that press conference. The vaccine mandates in Florida include vaccines for measles, polio, chickenpox, hepatitis B, and he can outright apparently eliminate some of those vaccine mandates, and others have to go through the legislature. It's not clear which.
I've often used the following formula to describe the Donald Trump personality and the Donald Trump presidency. He's a head case first, a crook second, and an autocrat only third. Trump's peculiar psychology often impels him to do things that are non-functional from any other point of view. Now, if we imagine a President Vance, I expect we'll see less of this kind of self-defeating behavior. Through his political life, Vance has pursued power fiercely but astutely. Unlike Trump, J.D. Vance has a lot of ideas about the external world that go far beyond his own vanity and his own wealth. Trump likes Putin and hates Ukraine because, apparently, Putin flatters him and because Ukraine defied or insulted him. Vance thinks much more ideologically. He fits both Ukraine and Russia into a much larger project to promote extremist right-wing rule across the European continent. Where Vance is continuous with Trump is in his willingness to use authoritarian methods of governance. Vance has made himself the face of Trump's military deployments in democratic governed cities. For Vance, it's a matter of supreme principle to purge the country of unwanted foreigners by any means necessary, including the suppression of previously existing due process. That's not a whim, and that's not a twitch. That's a matter of settled and sincere belief for which Vance is willing to pay a political price. Not all authoritarians are the same. Some are flamboyant and bombastic. Others are methodical and purposeful. Some talk a lot. Others talk less. Some are motivated by personal ego. Others by ideological fanaticism. Some are driven by past vendettas. Others by plans to grab power and never let it go. Some are the past and others are the future.
I think it's shameful that this has been called a hoax. Hopefully today we can clear that up. This is not a hoax. This is real. There are real survivors. There are real victims to this criminal enterprise. And the perpetrators are being protected because they're rich and powerful and political donors to the establishment here in Washington, D.C. So today we're standing with these survivors and we're giving them a voice.
How is it possible that in the richest, most powerful country in the world, there are corrupt special interest forces, both foreign or domestic, that are preventing the release, that have a stranglehold on our government and are preventing the release of the full Epstein files? There is something that is rotten in Washington. Less than 1% of these files have been released. We are demanding today on the discharge petition that all of the files be released. We know we have 212 Democrats, and we have 4 Republicans, courageous Republicans like Thomas Massie, Nancy Mace, who was so emotional yesterday after talking to the survivors, Congresswoman Boebert, and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. We need just 2 more signatures to force the release.
I hope my colleagues are watching this press conference. I want them to think, what if this was your sister? What if this was your daughter? When these survivors speak, The Washington establishment is asking the American public to believe something that is not believable. They're asking you to believe that two individuals created hundreds of victims and they acted alone, and that the DOJ has no idea of who else might have been involved, that nobody else did anything that rose to a criminal enterprise. The American people know that's not true.
Today, as you can see, we're united in restoring trust in government. We're here not as partisans, we're here as patriots.
Panicked Donald Trump is scrambling to kill the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. As I've said before, if you're totally innocent, why are you panicking? And Donald Trump is in full-blown panic mode here because there's a rogue faction of Republicans that is dangerously close to forcing a vote on releasing all of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Not the 97% that are already public, the real stuff. We're talking here about the critical documents that they've been sitting on. Congressman Thomas Massie, not a liberal darling, not a guy who I look at and say, those are my politics. Congressman Thomas Massie is working with our friend Congressman Ro Khanna to gather signatures for what's called a discharge petition. It would bypass Republican leadership and it would bring a full vote on releasing the files to the floor. They are, as of this writing, 2 Republican signatures away from forcing that vote, and Trump is absolutely losing it.
Mr. Speaker, last night the Rules Committee spent hours helping Trump and the White House cover up the Epstein files. Trump is terrified the House will pass the Massey-Connor resolution to require that his administration release the damn files. He's lobbying against it. What's he afraid of? To kill the Massey bill, Republicans are pushing a resolution that will give Chairman Comer of the Oversight Committee sole power over what gets released. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't trust a self-proclaimed, and these are his words, Trump man, to decide what to redact and therefore what Americans get to see. Remember, Trump repeatedly, not just today, but repeatedly called the Epstein scandal a hoax, and he has called Epstein himself a terrific guy. And Oversight acted only because Democrats forced the subpoenas. Today, Republicans, as you heard it, are patting themselves on the back for releasing the same documents that were given to right-wing influencers months ago. We want the Oversight Committee to do its job, hold the hearings, follow the money, pursue the truth, and protect the victims. But we can do both. The committee can do its job, and we can get, all we need is 2 more Republicans to sign Massey's discharge petition so the files get released to the public. Let's not forget, this is about the women and children who were terrorized and abused by a pedophile and his rich friend. It's about the cover-up that started with the rich and powerful and is still coming from a gold-plated Oval Office. We've listened to the survivors share their stories. They've made many of us cry, but we won't stop at tears. We will work to bring justice to these brave women, to do what they've asked, which is release the files.
There is a recurring question about Donald Trump's second term, where he has measurably gone much farther than the first, which is, can he do this? And the answer, repeatedly, sometimes slowly, is no. Take the Fifth Circuit, which is one of the more conservative appeals courts with plenty of Republican appointees. They say when Trump said that he could do all of these mass deportations by invoking the Alien Enemies Act, he was wrong. He couldn't. It's illegal. Quote, we find no invasion or predatory incursion, which was what he claimed could justify him doing a type of immigration law enforcement that we hadn't seen. The administration will be appealing, but again, if you're losing in that circuit, going up to the Supreme Court, even the Republican appointees on the Supreme Court go, well, probably overdid it. Just today, a judge also ordered the administration to go ahead and release the money for Harvard because, and we said this from the start, it was clearly a First Amendment violation to try to abuse government power or yank funds over Harvard's free speech campus choices on a host of issues. That was illegal, the judge says. Judges have also ruled against Trump on other parts of the immigration agenda, on whether he has the power to do any of these massive tariffs, as well as one of the biggest issues that everyone's tracking as he tries to create what one judge called a police state, which is whether he can send the National Guard anywhere he wants, anytime. Trump is losing in court, and governors have been stepping up.
You better comply, because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding. See you in court.
It's Orwellian, simply lying to people. Unconstitutional, illegal act, his mess, we're trying to clean it up.
Washington State will not be bullied or intimidated by threats and legally baseless accusations.
Introducing the National Guard into every major American city, it is not sustainable.
Mr. President, do not come to Chicago.
The old saying is, this is what democracy looks like. But right now in Trump's America, this is what federalism looks like.
So we're here at the press conference for the Epstein Files Transparency Act. You can see Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congressman Ro Khanna, and several other Congress people. This is a bipartisan effort because it's a no-brainer. Release the files. We're also listening to victims speak, and just so much courage to come up here, speak, and tell your story. If we just listen to victims, you don't need the files, but release the files because the victims deserve for the world to see the truth, see their truth, and for those responsible to be held accountable. This is the bill that Donald Trump is trying to pressure Republicans not to pass. Ask yourself why. I mean, you know the answer, but for anybody who's still on the fence, why would he want you to not pass the Epstein Files Transparency Act? Message from the victims is clear. Who was protecting Jeffrey Epstein? Who is still protecting Jeffrey Epstein and the files? And why is there no transparency? This goes up to the President of the United States. The victims deserve transparency, and the American public deserves to know the truth. Because if the highest office in the land is protecting these files, then this is corruption at a level never seen before. They are also sending the message to those House members who may be considering voting no against this act. Basically saying if you vote no, you are standing with predators, and you must look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why. You are not protecting children. Why are you not stopping powerful people who prey on children?
I know you're shaking your head and you're saying, why aren't these CEOs standing up? You just said to me in commercial break. Okay, yeah, I'm not saying they're not pathetic. But did Donald Trump play Tim Cook, or did Tim Cook play Donald Trump? Because Tim Cook got exactly what he wanted. And yes, he embarrassed himself. He gave Donald Trump a gold phone, but he's not paying the tariffs. And it works for his customers, it works for his employees, it works for his shareholders. What it doesn't work for is the future of capitalism and democracy.
He is paying the tariffs, just not as bad of tariffs as he thought he was going to pay. And it's humiliating. And these guys, could you imagine the inverse of this? What Wall Street, what your CEO buddies would be saying if Kamala Harris had been elected and she decided that in order to avoid the wealth tax that I want to put in, all you have to do is come in and give me a woke golden calf that was made by an indigenous woman of color or something. And then as long as you bring me that, as long as you bring me that,
crafted this basket.
As long as you give me that, then you don't have to pay the tax. I'm going to pay somebody else. Everybody, the Wall Street Journal would be up in arms. The guys on Fox would be losing. The world would be on fire if that happened. And this happened, and these guys are all too afraid to say anything. It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. And by the way, I don't think it's going to necessarily bail them out. They're playing. This is a massive risk that they're playing. And Donald Trump, the market is a guardrail for him. But there's not like a magic button in the Oval Office like the Diet Coke button that's like make the market go back up. If things start to get out of hand, if things start to unravel, if we get into a recession, Donald Trump can't taco his way out of it. And so I think these guys are really playing with fire for no discernible reason to me, except for short-term interests, just, the next report.
No. 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 Nope. Nope. No. Nope. I'm not getting out of the car. Not getting out of the car, and I'm not opening the window. I sure have. Yeah, because you tried to kidnap some people in my neighborhood. I'm not opening the car. Don't break my window, dude. You don't want to. Is there a problem? Why are you following us? I don't want you to kidnap my neighbors, man. I don't want you to kidnap my neighbors. The reason why you're following us. Yeah, I'm trying to keep you from kidnapping my neighbors. I want to warn them if you show up.
It's time for the trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Oh yeah. The trucker John Livestream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Hush your mouth. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. You're gonna always wanna come back. Well, yeah, it's the trucker John Livestream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, the trucker John Livestream is the best thing you've ever seen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. Trucker John.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. Let's see. All right, I hear the microphone. It's on. See if I can turn this off a little bit here. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. It is 9:29 a.m. in the Pacific time zone in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. We're sitting at about 85 degrees. Only supposed to get to 97 today, so hopefully that's true. It's nice when we have temperatures that stay out of the hundreds, especially this time of year. It's nice to see we're cooling down. Hope you guys are okay. Everyone's going okay. I was a little bit late starting today, but you know, it is what it is. Sorry about that, guys. Just thanks for your patience. I'm not able to scroll back to the top. I'm almost at the top though. I think Susie Jones was first, and then maybe Paul Burrows, and maybe then Jolie. And I think Sandy Foltz was in there reporting that she made it back home safely. So good to hear that. But yeah, just in those clips, I like the clips this morning. You know, touching on the things that are going on, what type of person Trump is, this autocrat, this crook, different faces of of dictators, and of course, what's going on with releasing the Epstein files. Why is Donald Trump so opposed to it? If he's innocent, why is he so opposed all of a sudden? And this is the thing. This is what he ran on. So he thinks he could just run on things, and then to say things that he thinks people want to hear, because he knows that was something that people want to hear. And but he didn't really want these Epstein files to get out. So now he's trying to say it's a hoax. Trump, you can't have it both ways, buddy. You can't have it both ways. Okay, so yeah, here's Paul Burrows says, I'm on the Lostine River, Oregon. have salmon in the trap. Got to work them up for the hatchery. Okay. Jolie says Susie Joe's first in chat. Fancy says, darn it, I thought I'd be number one. And Fancy's got all those ribbons. Hello, Fancy. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. The Fancy Factory. Jen up the base is here. Hello, Jen up the base. Interested to see what kind of repertoire we get into today. Michael McAndrews is here. Hey, Michael, good to see you. Thanks for joining us in the chat room today, in the driver's lounge, if you will. User-PH3WT3UE7C, otherwise known as William, is here in the chat this morning in the driver's lounge. Good to see you, William. Hello to you. Aaron West is here. Hello, Aaron. Thanks so much for being here. Now we are at full mod capacity. Aaron says, still in the country with the slow Wi-Fi. Yeah, it sucks having slow Wi-Fi. That's for sure. For show. Michael Andrews says, John is on time. 2 more donuts to go. I didn't eat any donuts. I didn't even have breakfast. I didn't. I got up. I put my clips together, and as fast as I could. And by the time I was done with that, I was able to push the button to start the show at 9:11. So I was technically I was 11 minutes late, but it had nothing to do with donuts. I wish I had some donuts. I did make some toast though. I will admit I did make some toast with jelly. I had toast and jelly but that was after when everything was playing. I made myself some coffee and some toast with jelly. So that's my breakfast for today. But now I want donuts, Michael. Jen at the base says, Trucker John, I see we are right on time today. Where's Nick Rich with the time check? Oh, he'll probably pop in somewhere. Roxanne says, 12:11. That's exactly when I pushed the button, was 11 after the hour. Soulcraft's here. Hey, Soulcraft, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Thanks for spending some time with us and hanging out with us for a bit. Roxanne79 says, don't look like hippies to me. In reference to the clip, probably those the veterans that were marching we started off with. Yeah, those weren't hippies. It's veterans against Trump out there. Michelle's here. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Michelle says, wow, he's a doctor. And I know that's the clip referring to the I guess, was it the second clip? That is the Florida, what's the official title? He's basically like he's basically like the RFK Jr. of Florida. He's Florida's Health and Human Services guy or whatever. He's a total nut job. I remember when he was appointed during COVID, and he was the one coming out with all this promoting this guy. And as we found out, if you watched the best show on the internet last night, that being the Liberal Dan show, Liberal Dan talked about this guy too, and did a little research on him and found out, this guy is a fucking Harvard graduate, and yet this guy was promoting like ivermectin and all the shit that Trump. He's a total Trumper, totally in the bag, and so he basically has flushed all his Harvard degree, all of his fucking degrees and everything right down the toilet by selling himself out to MAGA, to Trump, to DeSantis, all this bullshit. And it's really horrible because of vaccines. We have eradicated polio and basically, measles. Eradicated to the point where there's we haven't had huge outbreaks of a lot of these things, a lot of these different diseases in decades and decades and decades. And since this anti-vax movement has been taking hold, we're seeing outbreaks. And now we have, at the federal level, with RFK Jr. at the head, and then now we have these state assholes like this guy in Florida. We're seeing outbreaks, and we're going to see, if this continues, we're going to see more and more outbreaks, to where, who knows how many thousands, tens of thousands of people are going to die unnecessarily when a vaccine could have saved them, prevented this in the first place. And it's horrible. And I've been I read something yesterday where a whole bunch of employees of the CDC have come out and say RFK Jr. needs to resign or be fired, and other people are calling for him to be fired. Now, Trump could fire him. Who's he going to replace him with? Just some other weird fucking asshole? He'll probably replace him with this guy from Florida. But I'm not saying we shouldn't try to get RFK ousted. He doesn't deserve to be where he's at, but he'll just be replaced with some other asshole. We really need to cut the head off the snake. It's really what we got to do. And in that clip with the guy, the Florida, sort of like Surgeon General, like maybe they call him Surgeon General of Florida. Did you notice how he caught himself? He didn't want to say your body, your choice when he was talking about the vaccines. He didn't want to say that. He was almost going to say your body, your choice, and he caught himself. Because we can't have that now, can we? It's okay for them to basically essentially say that when it comes to them, not wanting people to be vaccinated. But when it comes to a woman's choice over her body, so it's just more hypocrisy, more double standards exposed there. And it's pretty sad. It's pretty awful. Anna Moore's here. Hey, Anna, good to see you. Thanks for joining us here in the driver's on. Carrie C is here. I see Carrie C. I do see you in there. Fancy saying hello to everybody. Soulcraft's there. Soulcraft says, I'm hanging in there, trying to be strong, just get emotional. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And that's okay. Stuff like that. Like, I keep going back to when my dad died, and you're, fine and dandy, you're kind of getting over it, and then some memory will pop up or, something, and then next thing you know, you're bawling your eyes out. So, and that's okay, man. Let it out. Just let it all out, man. It's okay to be human. It's okay to be human. Let's see who else we got in here. Fancy lurking and working. What you working on, Fancy? You making another video? Michael Andrews, is there? Carrie C. I'm just kind of scrolling down. I know people have already said hello to. Gin up the bass. Oh yeah, it's talking about Soulcraft. Let those emotions flow. It'll help you. Keep hanging on. Your parents raised a strong human. Lean on us as needed. Yeah, we're here for you. Shoulder to cry on, right there. Tim Farrell's here. Hey, Tim Farrell, good to see you. Thanks for coming on into the old driver's lounge. Always do appreciate that. Michelle says, "Come on, Ernst. We're all going to die." And that's true. But you know, it would be nice, since we supposedly have the greatest healthcare system in the world, or you know, some of these people claim. It'd be nice if we could use it. It'd be nice if we could all utilize it. That's all we're saying. We have all these great doctors and medicine and science and hospitals, healthcare facilities. Be nice if we could all use it, not just the rich people. Joni. Soulcraft says, laughing out loud, Dante Bucci, I guess. He was one of the first to really master the hang drum. He also passed of cancer very, very young. So when I saw a hang drum under $1,000, I felt like Dad is pointing me to it, pointing to it for me. Yeah, could be. The Lucky Minute's here. Hey, Lucky Minute, good to see you. Thanks for dropping on in to the old Driver's Lounge. Good to see you. Hey guys, you know, we're up to 3,987 subscribers. We're only 13 away from Dandelion Day, from D-Day. Am I not supposed to do that? Did I just do it? Did I just offend every veteran in the world just now? Probably. I probably did. I shouldn't. From this point forward, I will no longer refer to Dandelion Day as D-Day. Anyhow, Jolie says, I absolutely love hang drums. The Soulcraft, amazing sound. Are hang drums like those things that they use in like marching bands? And they have the strap around, and they're like boom, 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 boom. Is that the hanging drums? I plead ignorance. Hey, Nick Rich is here, like number 18. People were wondering where Nick Rich would be and where he's at, and there he is. At 20 past the hour. I'm 24 minutes behind. Thank you, Nick. Now I know. I'm coming at you from the past, people. I'm 24 minutes behind you. In the chat. 24 little old minutes behind. What a difference 24 minutes make. Something like that. I don't know. It makes me sway. Makes me want to sway back and forth from side to side. Something like that. Jolie says, I've seen them in the campgrounds and parking lots of music festivals. MJ Daniel from Washington State says Governor Ferguson is great. And Governor Ferguson says, we ain't playing. We ain't going to play with you, Donald. Did you hear? I just caught a little a news clip. California, Oregon, and Washington have formed some sort of healthcare coalition or alliance. What were the details of that? But they're forming their own kind of healthcare system between those three states. And I'd like to see other states join them. So that was interesting. Andrew Petrie says the only reason MTG was there is to simp for votes. You know what? I'm not going to shit talk MTG as long as she votes for that to pass that discharge, whatever they're calling it, paper notice, whatever it's called. And you know what? Midas Touch, Ben Marsalis was playing some clips yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw it, where she was saying a lot of like very, very un-MTG like things, different various clips that were very reasonable and almost, dare I say, democratic sounding, which I was kind of taken aback by, but which just proves to me though that what how full of shit these politicians, especially these Republicans, are, where they can be so anti-democratic or oppose any Democratic Party ideas or ideology so vehemently, but then they can turn on a dime, and maybe sometimes it's genuine, like epiphany or something. But I think a lot of time it's just they know the truth, but they've decided to make it a team sport, and they just walk in lockstep with their Republican leadership, and they do it very convincingly. And now, but we see MTG actually saying some things that make sense, and it's like it's kind of a head scratching or mind blowing kind of a thing. But if she's maybe it's for simping, I don't even know what the term simp means, but simping for votes, or whatever, okay, that's fine. I mean, every politician wants to get reelected or whatever. So, but hopefully she's sincere about this, and she will stick with them all the way. I don't know if they're voting today on that discharge notice or what, but they need to get two more. Well, I guess they need to get two more. I don't know if they had two more come on board or not yet. But let's not scare MTG away. Not that she's listening to the Trucker John live stream, which comes on Monday through Saturday, basically, right here on YouTube. Sometimes that's the way politics are, Strange bedfellows can occur. Roxanne says, I've seen a hang drum before too. I didn't know what it was called. Very cool. You should get one. Music heals. And then Soulcraft says, I know, right? Beautiful sound. For years they were $7,000 to $4,000, I guess, dollars, or clams. I don't know. I found one extremely cheap. I just hope it's still there when I get there. What'd you say it was? $1,000? And they're usually like between 4 and 7. Sounds like a good deal. Hopefully it's not like broken or something. Hopefully it's in good shape. Michelle, why is Maxwell in a Fed camp? She is a predator. Because corruption at the top, like Jolly Good Ginger was saying, this is corruption at the highest level. The only way she's a sexual predator with a 20-year term. The only way she could get the rules changed so that she could be transferred to that Club Fed is if it came from the top, and that's Donald Trump. But why would Donald Trump do that? Well, to make sure he's on Jizz Face. I call her Jizz Face. Jizz Face's good side or something, so she doesn't implicate him or whatever. I don't know. It seems like the evidence is already there then in her trial. One Vision's here. Hey, One Vision, good to see you. Thanks for coming into the driver's lounge. One Vision says, holy crap, it's Sugar John. Is he in a good mood? I think I'm in a good mood. I don't know. Give it time, though. Give it time. I'm just waiting for Jen to piss me off, Just kidding, Jen. Just kidding. Not really kidding. Marsha's here. Hey, Marsha. Marsha Jones. Wait. We got Marsha Jones and Susie Jones. Are you guys sisters? We have Marsha Jones and Susie Jones. Josh Sees is here. Good to see Josh Sees. Hello, lounges. We're lounging in the driver's lounge. David Weiss here says, hello from Denver, Colorado. The CBG gummy in my coffee is working. It's good. That's good to know. Did you mean CBD? Or CBG's a new thing that I don't know about? Right up there with simp. I'm almost out of my coffee already. Damn it. Better watch your mouth. Nick Rich, 929. I'm about 21 minutes behind. I'm about 21 minutes. That's about par for the course. Shirley says, hi, David Weiss from Denver, Colorado. My daughter and her boyfriend just got back from a week in Denver. They had an amazing time. I got to cat sit for my grandkitties. I love Colorado. Colorado. It's a nice place. It's a nice state. It's a nice state you got there. Be ashamed if something happened to it. MJ Daniel, how many people will this psychotic and corrupt administration kill this time? I know, it's just, we're only 7, 8 months into it. We got a long way to go. It's scary to think, MJ. It's scary to think. Still a lot of time to do so much more damage. We're just into this thing. Oh, it's John from Las Vegas. Did I skip John from Las Vegas? Let me scroll back a little bit. Oh, there's John from Las Vegas. Says, hello, John and trucklers. Hello back at you, John. Are you going to go out today? Are you going to drive today? I know you're usually a daytime driver, so you might be driving right now. I don't know. I'm going to go out tonight. I'm going to work Thursday through Sunday this week. For shits and giggles. I figure those are the most busy days of the week. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll get lucky. I'm always praying, guys. If you guys believe in prayer, thoughts and prayers, pray that old Trucker John gets as many strip club kickbacks as possible. Trucker John knows what I'm talking about. I mean, Trucker John. John from Las Vegas knows what I'm talking about. I pray for those strip club kickbacks, man. You can make a whole week's pay in one trip. So pray for that. Say, dear Lord, our God in heaven, please send Trucker John to the people that like to go to the titty bars of Las Vegas. Oh, I said titty. Generally doesn't like when I say titty. So we'll have to change that. Dear Lord, sorry about that. We don't say titties. Bless Trucker John with getting the horny dudes, the horniest of the horniest dudes, and even some horny chicks that like to go over to the strip clubs, and so that he may get those luscious, beautiful kickbacks. Amen. Thank you. All right, guys. So that's the prayer. I want you to memorize it and say it daily. And then we'll see what happens. Maybe I will be blessed with lots of strip club kickbacks. Strip club kickbacks. I think I'm going to write a song. I'm going to write a song about that. He wanted the strip club kickbacks. Woo-hoo. Yeah, there's Michelle. Hello, Michelle. David White says, Jolie, I moved here in 1990. So you beat the rush, basically, from Minnesota. I love to ski, still doing it. Turned 69 on 8/9. We'll see how this season goes. Well, keep skiing, dude. I'm 64, almost 65. I haven't skied in probably 20 years. And so I know if I tried to ski right now, I would break a hip and who knows what else. But so I think, if you don't ever stop, you keep your routine going, you can do it. But if you stop at some age and you don't do it forever, and then you try to get back into it, you could do it. But you have, like for me, if I was going to go skiing, I would have to just go on the bunniest of the bunniest little bunny hill or something. I'm not going to go right up to the Black Diamond like I used to when I was younger. But yeah, so keep doing it, man. Keep doing what you're doing. It's good for you. But just remember, you're not 30 anymore. You might have to go to a Blue Diamond or whatever. whatever the next one down is. Let's see. Chris Doug's here. Hey, Chris Doug, there you go. Got that safety vest on. Safety first, my friend. Safety first. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate you. I kid, Chris Doug. Because I see your little picture there, and you got your life vest on, and so it always makes me think, Chris Doug is a safe dude. Is into safety and not drowning. Apparently, not wanting to drown. So you got that going for you. What else we got? Owen's here. Hey, Owen. Hello, Owen. Nice to see Owen dropping by over here in the driver's lounge. Jolie says, my daughter didn't want to come home. David Weiss, she says she's a mountain girl now. Oh, yeah. Denver is, or not just Denver, but the Colorado area, going up through the Rockies there and through Aspen and Vail. Just beautiful country. Glen Canyon, Glen Springs Canyon, whatever the fuck it's called. Beautiful stuff, man. Colorado, one of my favorite states. If I was going to move to another state, Colorado is probably in my top 5. Top 5 states I'd like to live in. California always number 1. I don't care what any of you guys say. California number 1, and then after that I don't really rank them. But I like Oregon, Washington. Idaho Panhandle, I have to specify. I don't like anything probably south of Coeur d'Alene in Idaho. The whole state of Colorado, even though there's some not sketchy areas, but some areas that might not be so great. But I'll just say the whole state of Colorado. Where else? Is that it? That might be it. Notice Nevada's not on the list, and I live in Nevada now. But I've always considered, even though widespread gambling like Vegas isn't really legal in California. I know they have now with over the past 20 or 30 years they've opened up more on usually it's an Indian reservation type of a deal where they have these casinos and stuff. But there's really no place like Vegas. So Vegas is really unique and different. But coming here as a kid, I've been coming to Las Vegas since I was fucking 4 years old, probably, and on a regular basis, because we live 2 hours away, and my parents like to come here, and a lot of times they would take me with, and I never felt like I was in a different state, even though it's very different because of and even then, especially then in the 60s and 70s and 80s, there was almost like no gambling anywhere. Maybe Atlantic City had something. I don't know. I don't even know. I didn't even know what Atlantic City was back then. But I never felt like, because we would travel. We did lots of road trips. We did 2 different road trips to Minnesota, and my dad made it into an adventure, like a great vacation where we would stop at all these things across the country. And when I was in different states, I could tell that I wasn't in California anymore. I'm not in California anymore, Toto. But you could tell. But whenever we came to Nevada, to Vegas, I never felt like I had crossed the state line, even though I knew we crossed the state line at some point, at some age. Probably, I figured it out. 7 or 8 years old, I probably figured out what a state line was. But this has always felt like California to me. Now, the people who live here would take issue with that because they hate Californians. They think we're taking all their water. What they fail to remember is that we gave them the water in the first place. By that, I don't mean we gave them water, but we gave them the money. We gave them it's the Californians that really built Vegas, because it was the Californians that were coming up every fucking weekend and pouring money into this place through all the gambling and everything. So there, you local Nevadans hating on us Californians. How did I get on this subject? I was talking about my top 5 states that I would love to live in: California, Oregon, Washington. I'm not counting Idaho, although like I said, the Panhandle of Idaho is beautiful. But I'm not counting the rest of the state. The rest of the state's kind of shitty. Paul Burroughs would probably take exception to that. There are other areas that are nice, I guess. I've never really been up to Sun Valley, so I don't know. But anyhow, in Colorado, so Colorado, that's 4. What's the 5th one? I think there's got to be a 5th. Now, and I don't mean to discount East Coast. I just haven't really spent a whole lot of time there. Like a lot of the New England states look beautiful. That there might be something over there. Maybe I don't know. But hey, guys, if you guys are thinking about, if you're a good Democrat, if you're thinking about helping turn a state blue, I think just move to either Wyoming or Montana, because there's only like 15 people that live in the whole state, in those states. Wouldn't take very many Democrats to move there and probably just turn the states blue just simply by living there. So if there's anybody looking to relocate, just think of, and you're a Democrat, think about Wyoming or Montana. They literally have like 17 people that live there. Literally. And and even though 15 of them might be Republicans, if you wouldn't take that many Democrats to move in. Just something to think about, something to ponder. Hey, Robert Perez is here from down San Diego way. Good to see you, Robert. Says, yo, Trucker John, top of the morning to you, and a groovy day to all the Democratic voters out there, out and about. Speaking of Democratic voters, Aaron says, I'm a mountain girl now. I'm probably going back to school in Appalachian State University. Well, there you go. Nice. Appalachian State. I heard there's a lot of hiking trails in Appalachia trails and shit and things of this nature. Hello, everyone. Roxanne says Florida is a hellhole of the country official title. Florida is the hellhole of the country. Yeah. Turn that state blue too. I'm old enough to remember when Florida was a blue state. What the hell's going on? I'm old enough to remember when Texas was a blue state. What the hell's going on, people? Come on, people. What's going on with these people here? What's going on? Robert Perez says, instead of eating a dandelion, why not eat some ivermectin? It might cure my worm problem. You're right, maybe. Well, the thing is, we are. It's already been agreed upon and promised that I would do the dandelion. And no one. And I have asked a couple times. I think, should I do something else, something different? And no one has said a peep. No feedback. Because some people suggested maybe doing a gummy or an edible thing that looks like a dandelion, and then I asked about that. No, not a peep. No one said, yeah, do it. So I'm just going to stick with the dandelion, the regular old garden variety dandelion that I can pick out of some grass area somewhere. MJ Daniel says Democratic states like Washington and California need to seriously look into some kind of travel ban from these states for our own safety. I wonder how they could do that legally. Marshall Jones, replace him with the pillow guy. Replace RFK Jr. with Mike Pillow. Oh my God. Talk about going from bad to worse. I don't know. I mean, that would be, which direction would we be going? Better or worse on that one? I don't know. But I can see that would be Trump's choice. He's like, okay, you want me to fire RFK? RFK, you're out. You're gone. You're fired. Mike, get in there. Go get him. Go get him, champ. DPD 5840 says, I think we should call our representatives on the Democratic side and tell them to use the budget as leverage in lieu of releasing the Epstein files. You think that'll do it? You think that'll do it? I don't know. They seem pretty resolute in not doing it, no matter what. Roxanne79 says, ivermectin? I forgot what that's for. Hate pharmaceuticals, stupid commercials. I mute them immediately. I believe that is the horse dewormer. Right? Isn't that what that was? Yeah, Jolie says, I did notice he was about to say your body, your choice. Yeah, and he stopped himself because then he would be like, wait a minute, that's what people say who want women to have a choice. I can't go there. Marie Jane Greco is here. Hey, Marie, good to see you. This is here doing cardio. So just listening. Good to get some cardio in. Absolutely. Get your cardio in. See, Andrew was laughing at Fancy. Did I miss Fancy? Did I miss something from Fancy that was funny? I'm all messages. I don't even see Fancy in here. I mean, she's in here, but I must have skipped something. I don't know. I didn't see what. Unless you're laughing at something from like 20 minutes ago. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. Roxanne says Jen is going to FaceTime the new South Park episode with me later today. I'm excited. Butters gets confronted with tariffs buying a present for his girlfriend. I'm still sad about poor Tally from last episode. Hey, spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! I haven't watched the last episode. I did watch on I was on Thread. Someone posted not the whole episode, but it was like a 10-minute segment or part of South Park. I don't know if this was the latest one because I haven't really watched them this year, other than just clips and things of this nature. But it was the one like, is Trump fucking the devil or what? Or fucking Satan? Is Trump fucking Satan? And it was kind of pretty hilarious, the clip I saw. So. Roxanne says, that's what I said about the hang drum, TJ. About being the strap thing and the thing with the thing. Nick Rich, 9:45. I'm about 25 minutes behind you, guys. I'm 25 minutes behind. But I think it's okay. I think that's the way. This is the way it goes. I read the chats and I talk a little bit here. I talk a little bit there. I do a little prayer about getting a strip club kickback. These things take times. They take times. They take times. DPD 5844 says, did anyone see the military blow up the boat carrying 11 Venezuelan passengers? The excuse was they were drug runners, but there was no confirmation of any sort. This is disgusting. I saw, I think it was it Jake Bro? Or someone played that. And it was disgusting. Or I guess Hal played it. But maybe it wasn't Jake. Maybe it was Hal. And yeah, pretty disgusting. Just blew them to smithereens. No confirmation. Just another thing for Trump to put in his bank. I'm sure he gets off on that shit. MJ Daniel, he was the state AG, and the new AG was Army JAG. We have it better than many states. I guess that was you're talking about your governor, I guess, up there in Washington State. Roxanne says MTG is acting human for a change. I'll give her that, but I don't trust her like her at all. She's burned that bridge. And if you remember my real time when we were watching or some of the from the press conference yesterday, I guess it was yesterday, and I was talking about MTG was there, and my first thing was like, yeah, I don't trust her as far as I can throw her, but I am glad that she's going, she's throwing in with this whatever she's in on this, and that she says she's going to vote for it, so I'm glad about that, and we'll see how where we go from there, but. MJ Daniel says MTG sees the direction this is going and is just blowing the way the wind goes. She will go back to batshit crazy as soon as she sees an advantage. But according to one of those clips that Ben Meiselas was playing, it wasn't related to the Epstein victim thing, but it was an earlier clip. I'm not sure when it was, but probably within the last few weeks or something. And she was saying how the number one thing that she hears from her constituents is that prices are high, grocery prices are high, and people can't afford their rent. That people are living paycheck to paycheck. They can't afford health care. They're losing health care. She's hearing that from her constituents. And I think that's influencing her. I think she's maybe she wants to keep her seat, and her constituents are coming up to her and saying, hey, what's going on here? We didn't vote for this. We can't afford groceries now. Groceries are skyrocketing. We can't afford to either. We have to make a choice between paying our rent and buying food. And healthcare is going up, and we're losing healthcare and all this kind of stuff. She's getting that's what she's getting from her constituents, from her district. So maybe that's influencing her, and I think that's a good thing. That good on those people for telling her that stuff, and good on her for listening. But well, like I said, we'll see. It's you always take things with a grain of salt. You always remain cautious around a person like that. But if they're going to do something that's good, then give them some credit for that too, when credit is due or whatever. Owen says, speaking of resale, in my area, I keep seeing boats, side-by-sides, four-wheelers, dirt bikes, etc., all in the same yards for sale all over town, right next to the Trump signs. That's the first thing you do when the economy goes to shit and you need cash. You start selling your toys, your vehicles, your boats, your cars. If you've got extra cars, if you got 3 cars, you're gonna pare down and sell at least one of those, maybe 2 of them. If you don't actually need them, that's what happens. When the economy goes to shit, people start selling all that extra shit. Damon Dog, the big dog's here. Damon says, trying to wake up. I stayed up way too late watching movies. I know, I do that too. And I'm like, I'll be watching something, and all of a sudden it's like, 3:45? Shit. I got to get up in the morning and put my clips together. So, yeah. I know what you mean. Roxanne79 says, I've never been to Colorado. Only place I've been out west is California and Seattle. I've never been any farther than Ohio and only up to New York to Florida, I guess. I have been to Toronto and Quebec. Well, you've been to quite a few places though. It's not like you've just never been out of your little, your little circle there or whatever. So you've seen some stuff. Nick Rich says, I've been hearing nothing but bad news about the Vegas economy, yet Trucker John seems to disagree with what I'm hearing. No, I've been saying for months now that it's slowing. I've been saying this, Nick, if you've been listening, for at least 4 months that I've noticed that it's slowing. 4 months I've been saying this. Does that mean that it's completely dead like a ghost town? No. Does that mean that as a cab driver I can't go out and get lots of rides? No, that doesn't mean that. There are still plenty of people that are coming here so far where I can go out and make a living. But it's definitely slower, and the statistics keep coming out every month. The number of tourists, I guess based on same time last year, it keeps getting like fewer and fewer compared to last. Like now, I think they're down. I think down 20% from same time last year. Maybe more than 20%. And I know that the big corporations have lost, or at least not made. I don't consider it being lost, but because they're already multi-billion-dollar corporations, but they've lost hundreds of billions of dollars or at least not made the revenue that they made based on the last couple of years. So they're losing money, or they're not making the money that they. See, they're not losing money. They're just not making the money that they had been made. They're still making money. They're still making tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars collectively along the strip every single month. So I don't feel too sorry for them. But the numbers are down, and you can see it's noticeable as far as foot traffic and along the strip. But and I've been saying this for at least 3 or 4 months now, if you would listen. But that doesn't mean that there's no business or that there's no one out there. There's still people coming. We're not getting the international travel. We're not getting the Canadians, Nick. And I remember, and I told this story before, probably around March or April, when Trump really started. Or maybe even earlier than that, when Trump was talking shit about Canada, and he was going to put these tariffs on Canada. This is way back, probably in February or March, and I had passengers in my car saying, "Yeah, we're from Canada, and this is our last time we're coming here." And they're like, "We come here every year. We love coming to Vegas, but this is the last time we're coming here." And I think that was true of a lot of Canadians, because it's been reported that we're not getting the amount of tourists coming from Canada has dropped precipitously. And I talked about that months and months and months ago. Pablo says, Roxanne, my yard is Idaho, Washington State, and Oregon. Yeah, there are parts of Idaho. Like I said, Coeur d'Alene and north. But there's other places down through Colorado that are really beautiful too. Hey, Terry Taylor's here. Hey, good to see Terry. Says hi, TJ. Colorado is beautiful. Lived in Steamboat Springs. Oh, that is a beautiful area. And a little town called Elizabeth outside Denver, and up in the mountains of Colorado Springs in a town above the clouds called Woodland Park. Yeah, those are all beautiful areas. MJ Daniels said started skiing when I was 11, but can't barely walk right now. That sucks. But you can't walk. Soulcraft says I miss snowboarding. My dream now is one of those electric powered surfboards you can go up rivers on, but they're so expensive. Well, people are selling shit. Maybe you'll get a good deal on that. Roxanne says my mom used to go to training in Denver for United a lot in her career, but it's not a hub. Hard for me to get there. Hubba, hubba, hubba. Nick Rich, 10 a.m. I am 23 minutes behind. MJ Daniels says went on vacation and worked at the resort in Sun Valley, Idaho, and liked it well enough. Paul Burrow says I own a house at St. Marie's, Idaho. Where is St. Marie's? I'm trying to think if I've been through there or not. If I've ever gone through there. I can't recall right at the moment. Roxanne says it's the earthquakes that freak me out, but these hurricanes are getting worse and scarier, and I've been through a bunch of them. Well, the thing about earthquakes is they're really totally random, and I've lived in California my whole life. Fortunately, I didn't. Well, I wasn't. I was in some earthquakes when I worked for the post office in the Valley in Van Nuys, and I remember. And this is before Northridge earthquake. The Northridge earthquake was huge, but there were some. We were having a bunch before then. That kind of led up to that, and I remember, man, there were some that really just shook the entire building. I mean, it was just crazy. It was just crazy. But it lasts for 2 seconds, and then depending on how bad it is and where the epicenter is. I mean, Northridge was flattening, some buildings and parking structures, and some people got killed. But I don't know. It's pretty random, and you just never know where it's going to hit. And I don't know. You just kind of you really don't think about it. At least I don't, until it happens. But hurricanes happen. That they're every year, and about where they're going to be. Same way with tornadoes. You got Tornado Alley, and you have places that are prone for tornadoes. I think I would rather live out in California and take my chances with the earthquake than to have to put up with tornadoes and hurricanes every year. That's the earthquake thing is just. I don't know. It really isn't that big of a deal. Now I know. Tell that to the people who died in San Francisco. During that were on the freeway on the 880 or whatever, and they got smushed, or in any buildings that collapsed and they got smushed. I know it's a pretty big deal to them, but I don't know. I just think that living near hurricanes and tornado areas are worse and scarier, more dangerous. But I don't know. I guess it just depends on where you grow up, because people out here, we don't like hurricane. We don't like the thought of living in hurricane areas or tornado areas. And you guys back east and in the Midwest and in the South, it seems like you're willing to put up with the hurricanes and the tornadoes, and you don't want anything to do with the earthquake areas. So I guess it just depends on what you grow up and what you become accustomed to or something. Yeah, but Daniel, I remember when Texas had a Democratic governor. Me too. Ann Richards, right? Roxanne says tornadoes terrify me too. We get water tornadoes, but the other ones are like earthquakes to me and landslides. So I'm in the swamp. Terry Trailer says, me too, TJ. I lived in Florida when it was a blue state. It has gone way downhill. Unfortunately, I'll never go back. Roxanne says, I'm lazy with punctuation too, especially on my phone, but it helps TJ's flow. It does. It does. Because a long run-on sentence, just one little comma or a period could make all the difference in the world. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. Owen says, Pearlmania 500 did a great deep dive into RFK this week. The podcast is so funny to me. Owen, I highly recommend their show. Never heard of it before. I ain't never heard of it. I ain't never heard of that before. Hey, Stephanie B2's here. Good to see Stephanie in the driver's lounge. Stephanie says, what did RFK do that we can't get COVID vaccinations now from CVS and everywhere else? Yeah, he's having them pull away all those recommendations for people to get vaccinated. He's basically saying no one needs to get vaccinated anymore, unless you're old. Maybe I don't know. Hey, Walter Bakarovich is here. Good to see Walter. Walter says, good morning, Trucker John. Sorry, I've been busy with doctor's visits recently. I did love Senators Warren and Sanders rip Kennedy a new asshole in the hearing going on this morning. I haven't seen that. I have not seen that, but I did see, I think earlier in the week, I think Sanders was calling for the resignation of RFK Jr. Like publicly, you know, like. And I think we're going to see more and more people, maybe on both sides of the aisle, maybe, and not just the politicians, but people in the just the normal, you know, constituent type people are going to start calling for the resignation. And like I said, okay, they might fire him, but then who are we going to get? And then someone suggested Mike Pillow, and I thought, yeah, that's probably exactly who we'll get. Roxanne says, I didn't give away South Park. It's much watched, in my opinion. Well, now I know something happens to Towley, okay, or whatever. Roxanne says that's where my man is fantasy football. The Green Bowl Packers. Important shit. He has highlighted spreadsheets. So is that what they're doing? Is his fantasy league doing a draft today? Are they drafting the players? That's why he's not in here giving me shit. Um, I'm skipping down in the chat. Nick says, questions, soft-boiled, hard-boiled, fried. And then I guess people are, I guess that's about an egg preference or something. For some reason. Trying to make me hungry because I haven't had breakfast. Is that what you're doing, Nick? Trying to make me hungry because I haven't had breakfast? Unless you want to count toast with jelly as breakfast. Roxanne79 says, I lean toward the Commander skins, but I'm a player's fan. It's kind of cool. I'm open to liking a new team. It's been nice hiatus from NFL. It's time. It is time consuming for sure. Ain't got cable no more either. You can get NFL package, the NFL package, and you can watch it if you have Wi-Fi, and you can watch it through, I think through YouTube or something. I don't know. I'm confused. Jolie says, we go to Michigan often. My daughters play roller derby, and Michigan has a lot of teams. But it was my first time in Ann Arbor. We always load up on goodies while there. At Josh Steves. I've noticed, like, in Jolie's videos that I'm sure finding places to play roller derby, you know, it's kind of hard, or whatever. Not hard, but you know, so they're playing on a flat surface. I remember watching roller derby, you know, like it was kind of big on TV, like back in the 70s, I guess. And on TV they had the it was like banked. It was like a circle, oval type of thing, and it was like it had like a big banked, you know, track or whatever that they did. And I remember they came to our town, a roller derby league of some sort. And I think these were kind of like professional, almost like what you see on TV. They came to our town in Victorville in the 70s, like mid 70s or something. And I remember going and watching it. I think me and my cousin Dan went and watched them a few times. And they had, you know, they bring, you know, they set up the, I don't know if you call it a track or whatever, but you know, they're able to bring it in and piece it together, and it was really cool. It'd be cool if you guys, if these leagues could get one of those and play on that banked thing. That would be cool. I know that you know, nothing. If you can't do it, if they can't do it, they can't do it. But it would be cool if they could do that. And I wonder, are there any places that have the roller derby on the banked track, or is it all on the flat surface? Now I had a friend, an old high school friend. It seems like it's all women that are playing this. I know guys play roller derby too, but I had a friend, and she's a female. I'm not sure if she does it anymore, but she was doing it, because she's like my age, or maybe a couple years younger, and she was in a roller derby league down in the San Diego area. And I'm trying to remember now because she would post pictures. I don't remember it was videos, and I don't remember if they were on the bank, if they had that banked track or if they were on a flat surface. I don't remember now. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. I'll have to go look that up. Soulcraft says Ann Arbor is great. Nick Rich, I'm hoping for a great Vegas economy. I do think it's an indicator. I think when Vegas does well, the rest of the country does well, or at least it's, it shows that people have disposable income. And when Vegas does poorly, it's because the rest of the country is doing poorly economically. I guess it might be a sort of a bellwether, type of a thing. Roxanne, if you would listen, dang TJ. Yeah, it seems like you guys don't listen, man. You're not listening to me. I've been saying that the things here in Vegas have been slowing down. I've been saying it for at least 3 or 4 months, probably 4 months. I'm way ahead of the curve on all this reporting that you're hearing. I'm way out in front of that. Hey, Marsha with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Marsha. Yippee. I'm just now getting to it. Sorry about the delay in the yippee, but that's how long it took me to get down to it. So thank you, Marsha. We'll give you a thumbs up and a heart. Marsha says, paying my late fee. Sorry I haven't been here. Life's been turned upside down lately. Applying for assisted living. Love you, CJ and Chad. Thank you so much, Marsha. Again, I appreciate the donation. I don't want anyone donating if it's going to create some sort of a hardship financially for you. But I trust Marsha knows her finances and knows what she can spend. So thank you so much, Marsha. And I hope you find what you need there as far as your living situation. I hope that works out for you. I know you've had problems getting with keeping people, and maybe I shouldn't talk loud. I don't know who's in the room with you right now, but I know you've had some issues with keeping people, and now I guess you have to move into a home. So I hope that all works out for you. It's been, I know, a real hassle for you for a long time now. But again, thank you to Marsha for that. Jolie says, I'm going to Pride Night at Kings Island tomorrow night with both my daughters, their boyfriends, my best childhood friend, and his boyfriend. I'm so excited. Pride Night at Kings Island. Is Kings Island in Ohio? What am I thinking? What's that amusement park? There's a big amusement park. Amusement park? I can't talk today. Wasn't that in Ohio? I'm thinking of? Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I know Ohio is not that far from Indiana. But anyhow, I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling now, aren't I? The Lucky Minute says my husband was in the Northridge. His kitchen got destroyed. I lived approximately, probably, what was I, 60 or 65 miles probably from the epicenter, which is kind of far. I lived in Lancaster, out in the desert, and the epicenter was pretty much right in Northridge, right? And I was, like I say, probably 65 miles away. The reason I know the miles so well, because I commuted, and maybe it's a little further, because I think it was about 60 miles to Van Nuys. But Northridge is up, so maybe that was closer. I don't know. I think I figured it was 60 miles or something like that from where I lived. And it literally, I was in bed with my girlfriend, and It literally shook me right out of bed. Big ass king size bed. It shook me right out of it. I was on the floor, and I remember my girlfriend woke up, and we're like, "What the fuck's going on?" And we're like, "Oh shit!" And we're 60 miles away. I can only imagine what it was like in Northridge or Van Nuys or Sylmar or anywhere in the valley there. I mean, my God, it was a jolt and then a wave. It was really, and I was 60 miles away, and it shook me out of the bed onto the floor. So just think if you actually lived down there. John Glad's here. Glad to see John Glad. Environmental Coffee House is back. I didn't know that they had ever left. To tell the truth, I didn't know they left. The Lucky Minute says I'm a Gulf Coast girl. I can't live in the desert. I've lived in the desert since I was 3 years old. I was born in Northridge, a poor black child. No, which is the San Fernando Valley. I was born in Northridge. Speaking of Northridge, we moved to Apple Valley out in the desert when I was about 3.5. And I've been in the goddamn desert ever since. Ever since. I've been in this goddamn Mojave Desert ever since. Because I still, even though I'm in Las Vegas, I'm still in the Mojave Desert. And that's where Mojave Desert is where I grew up. So I guess, it is what it is. It is what it is. Hey, WW's here. Good to see W and the old drivers lounge. W says, good morning, afternoon, trucksters. We get online storms. Derricos, I think. I remember those came out. I don't know what you mean online storms. You mean like onshore storms or something? I don't know. More destruction than a tornado. I remember a few years ago, I think it was the first time I ever heard of those, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I don't know if you guys ever hear the Bradcast. And they've got Brad. Remember that? That Brad dude and Desi, I think her name is. And they have a show. They do a lot of environmental stuff, and she does a lot of the reporting, like news reporting and weather reporting, and that's when I think one of those went across like fucking Nebraska or some shit, right? 4 or 5 years ago. I believe it was pronounced something like Derrico or something. I know I want to say Doritos, but it's not Doritos. Anyhow. Roxanne says TJ loves cannabis talk. He's learning so much, but won't try it. Although maybe an edible. No coughing, easy on lugs, tasty. If you would listen, Roxanne. I don't think I have this year. Maybe I did have some this year, but I know last year I ate a bunch of edibles. I had 2 different, very pretty young ladies, actually. Because it was when I was doing rideshare, so it had to be last year, like a year ago, probably about a year ago, where I, sometimes it's when I was doing Uber, and so sometimes people, you take them to a dispensary to buy. They want to buy pot, weed, whatever, in various forms, and a lot of they got edibles, and these very beautiful young ladies that were very nice, sweet. Took it upon themselves to give me a bunch of their edibles to take home for later. I didn't take any, while I was driving. I took them home and put them in a little, plastic Ziploc baggie and took them home. And so I had a bunch of edibles. I'm not averse to edibles, so if you would listen. Nick Rich, 10:30. I'm only 46. Am I 46 minutes behind? No, wait. Oh no, wait, no. I'm 16 minutes behind. I think. I don't even know. Yeah, I'm like 16 minutes behind. But I have been skipping a lot of your guys' posts, and so sorry about that. Indivisible River Ranch. Indivisible River Ranch is here. I don't think I've seen Indivisible River Ranch in the chat before, so welcome. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate you. We got 44 watching and 54 thumbs ups. So we are operating like good Democrats. We are operating at a surplus. Thank you very much. But if you haven't hit the thumbs up, go ahead and do it anyhow. But anyhow, Indivisible River Ranch says pretty. Is it much? Let old diseases free to inhabit and spread. I guess in reference to RFK Jr. Wants to take away vaccines and mandates. Like all the school shots we all have had to get ever since even my age and older have been getting all our shots and shit, so we don't get chicken pox and smallpox and measles and rubella and polio and shit like that. And those things have been pretty much eradicated for the most part. Yeah, and then RFK Jr. is like, no, we don't need that shit. So yeah, he needs to go. I would take Mike Pillow over RFK Jr. right now. Josh says, I saw Bernie versus RFK Jr. It was epic. Was that today? I'm missing it. I don't have it on. WW coming in with $1.11 super chat. Thank you so much. Yippee, going out to WW. I do appreciate you. Gave you a thumbs up and a heart also. So thank you, WW, for contributing to the show. Help us keep going and growing and stay going. Indivisible River Ranch. It was the worm really talking. Yeah. This worm. If anyone should be taking ivermectin, it should be RFK Jr. That's for sure. Roxanne says, "Ooh yeah, Boston Brian, 30 minutes. Yeah, we're about 11 minutes away, I guess. I'll probably go over again. If you guys want to jump over there, that's fine. Just be that way. Invisible River Ranch says Bobby's Dinosaur Worm Technologies. Roxanne 79, I'd like to see Bernie's school brainworms. Individual River Ranch, first NFL game is tonight. Yeah, I think that's the one we were talking about yesterday. I think it's in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It's weird. Wayne Goins here. Good to see Wayne. Thanks for coming on in. It says the brainworm is still alive in his head. Tell me I'm wrong. The guy is fucked up. The guy is a fucked up dude. And this is who we have at the head of our health and human services, our CDC. It's no bueno. Y no bueno. WW says, Baby Bobby, in reference to RFK Jr., I believe, says is here to stay. His influence is just waning, including, it is said, with Trump. But as long as Lizzie and Bernie hate him, Trump considers it a win. You're probably right about that, WW. You're probably right. Roxanne 79 says Jen had his draft while he was here. I was impressed. Oh, he already did the draft. How much strategy goes into it? I know the season starts today. He was looking, or we was looking, who was gonna fill the bye weeks. Last I heard, I'm a sports widow now. I'm a sports widow now? I don't know, are you? I guess, yeah, maybe. Individual River Ranch says, actually, worms are a lot smarter. It's bad to have to use them. The worms are smarter than RFK Jr.'s brain, I guess. William, otherwise known as user PH9WT3UE7C, says, I have Fire Stick. I can get most of everything. I have my TV is a Fire TV or whatever they call it. So yeah, I got everything on here. Indivisible River Ranch says, now we have a new reason to I guess vacation in Florida. We can get some old disease and die. Yeah, go to Disney World, and see what you catch. Jolie says, Trucker John 3, there's a few banked roller derby tracks left, but they don't play ranked games on them. They're just for fun. Old roller derby was more like professional wrestling. Yeah, it was, but I don't think it was as fake. You know what I mean? I don't think it was like predetermined. Maybe it was. But I just remember watching it as a kid, and I thought it was kind of cool. And then Raquel Welch came out with the Kansas City Bomber, and I was like, oh, God, I love Raquel Welch because she's beautiful and gorgeous. But I mean, it definitely had that that vibe to it, as the kids say, but not quite as over the top as the pro wrestling wrestlers are. And even as a kid, I knew that pro wrestling, like, I knew it was all fake as far as like who was going to win. It was all predetermined. It was all scripted. I knew that. Even as a little kid, I could recognize it. But when I watched the pro roller derby on TV, and it did have that sort of hype to it and sensationalism, and they would do the interviews and they would kind of like talk shit and stuff, but it didn't seem to me like it was like scripted, like as far as the actual play of the game. It seemed like it was legit. Now maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe if I watched old videos of it now through my old wise eyes, maybe it would be different. Maybe I would see it differently, but it didn't seem like it was quite as scripted to me as far as the actual game. It seemed legit, but maybe it wasn't. It might have all been like, okay, you guys, you're losing today, or whatever. I don't know. Did you guys ever see the KC Bomber, by the way? Raquel Welch was stunning, and she's just playing a roller derby chick, and she was stunning. Go watch any old Raquel Welch movies. She's absolutely stunning. Quite possibly the most beautiful woman in the history of women. I know I sound like an old perv or something. I don't know. What am I going to do? What can I say? Stephanie B2 says that RFK. I'm going to add the junior to this. Pardon-moi. 72 says RFK Jr. said in 2023 that people who have been vaccinated have dull eyes and don't have any life in them. Okay. Yeah. Talk about not having life in him. Has he looked in the mirror lately? He looks like death warmed over, if you ask me. So. Damon Dog says, I have a Facebook friend that's in roller derby league, any roller derby league. She also has a kazoo group. I was shocked how many people show up at the kazoo meetings. And I got to say, I didn't see that coming as I was reading that chat there, that post. I did not see that coming. The kazoo thing. That kind of took me for a loop. Is that the expression? Took me for a loop. Mad Mac, Slava Ukraini. Oh, absolutely. Slava Ukraini. Fuck Putin. Fuck Russia. Tell them to get the fuck out. You want to end this war, motherfuckers? Here's your fucking peace talks. Pack up your shit, turn around, and get the fuck out of here. That's the peace talks. Vladimir Putin is a fucking war criminal. He attacks civilian targets. He's deliberately bombing apartment complexes and hospitals and schools. Vladimir Putin is a fucking war criminal. And he should be hung by his balls until he dies. If they could even find his balls. Probably has little tiny balls. He's got ball envy. All right, I'm skipping down. I know in about 3 minutes, a lot of you are going to go to Boston Brian. If you do go over there, say hi from Trucker John. But I'm gonna probably stay on for at least another 15 minutes. WW says I'm looking at retirement communities to move to before I get too sick. Where are you thinking about? Are you thinking about going to Arizona? A lot of old people go to Arizona for some fucking reason. Don't go to Arizona. It's fucking hell. Unless you go to like Flagstaff or something. But most of them move to the Phoenix area. And if you think like Vegas is hot, fucking Phoenix is hotter. I hate Phoenix. And I hate that whole area just because of the weather. Not because of the people or whatever. It's because of the fucking weather. I hate fucking Phoenix. And that whole area. Anything south of Sedona or whatever is a no-go for me. Is it Sedona or whatever the fucking place is called? Up in, the pretty rock place. Mad Max says, if you want to sound intelligent, at least learn English. It isn't your free, it's you're free, dumbass. Now, I don't know, I don't know if that's in reference. No, that's not in reference to me. Did I skip something? Did somebody? I did skip down. It looks like I may have skipped something important here. I kind of skipped down and I did a needle drop. And I don't know what I missed, but Mad Mac coming at him. I hope it wasn't. It wasn't. I don't know. I maybe I missed. Oh, Individual Ranch says you're free to get and spread and kill others. That's your right. I think Individual was being sarcastic, Mad Mac. I think, even though with the misspelling of your or the wrong your. Now I haven't caught completely up, so maybe this has been resolved already. I think Individual Ranch. I'm taking that as like sarcasm. So, and yeah, we'll see. As I get down further in the chat, we'll see how this plays out, or at least I'll see it. You guys already know. You guys already know how it plays out. I'm behind. I'm 20 minutes behind you, so we'll see. I do have Boston Brian on my TV. There's a countdown, 1 minute 39 seconds. If you guys go over there, say hi to Brian for me. But I'm going to stay on here for a little longer. And here we have Vikika or Vivitja or Vikik Georgia. I don't know, but I remember seeing Vikikja before in here. So thank you for coming on in. I do appreciate you for coming on in. Individual brands won't let you in. Not sure what that's about. See, when I skip around, I kind of miss a lot of the context or whatever. Marcia says, Structure John, don't worry, no home health here. Aid is here again. Yeah, that's your problem. They're not there, and so now you're looking for a facility to live at. Joey says, Trucker John, yes, Kings Island is a theme park in Ohio, just a few hours from me. Yeah, I've driven by there a few times. I'm trying to think. I don't think I ever went there. Yeah, I don't think I've ever gone there. I guess you would think I would just, if I had been there, I would remember. I know I've driven by it a few times, both as a truck driver and as a just traveler of life. And I know that's a really big amusement park for that whole region. It's like, for here or for California, it's like Magic Mountain or something. Yeah, Brian's on now. I got him on. I can't see the chat over there, but I do see Brian is on. Soulcraft says, Wes, I consider Summertown, but it's definitely a bit different. Liberal community, but they are really well at that. I don't even know where that's at. Anna Moore says, roller derby was a very popular sport. In the 70s, my favorite one was Judy Arnold. Yeah, I don't remember the names. I think the LA team was the Thunderbirds, I think. I think that might have been the LA team. And I don't even remember the team names and stuff or the players, but I remember watching it, and I liked roller derby better than wrestling. I never really liked wrestling because it was just too fake for me. Even as a 9 or 10 or 11-year-old, and a lot of my friends really liked pro wrestling. They really they liked the characters and stuff. I never could get into it because it was just, to me, it was just always too fake, too over the top, too over the top, I guess. I'm just going to stick with that. Nick Rich 10:45, so I'm 19 minutes behind in the chat here. Roxanne says, eat some edibles with us. We'll come to Vegas. Well, that was kind of the thing. If we get to 5,000 subscribers, is that I would eat some shrooms. Now, I've kind of had second thoughts about that. I don't know. I don't know what you can do on a live stream and not get in trouble. I do know that people smoke pot all the time, on their live streams. Can you eat shrooms or whatever and not get in trouble? I don't want to get my channel shut down. Maybe edibles are okay. Maybe there's a line. Edibles okay, shrooms not okay. I don't know. Or maybe we can do a halfway point. If we get to 4,500, we'll do edibles, and 5,000 we'll do the shrooms. I don't know. Let's get to 4,000. We're still trying to get to 4,000. So let's do one thing at a time here. Jolie says the ad signs are disappearing for some people, and just as you see that, I'm just now seeing it. Yeah, it is. It's disappearing right before my very eyes. And wow, that's so weird, isn't it? Jolie says, I complain about the ad signs on every one of John's live streams through the feedback link. Glad to see them disappearing. Me too. I don't like the at thing because it just makes it more confusing, and because people have different at names than they do their profile names, and some of them are really weird. Like Williams is, like here's the Soulcraft. All the ats are gone now. All of a sudden, they're all gone. So the Soulcraft says, now breaking news: Trump DOJ are trying to limit anyone transgender from owning guns because 98% of all the school shooters are mass shooters, mass mass gun shooters are white, male, and so they can get guns all they want. But because we got one person that was supposedly trans, then we're gonna see. This is always, which this is not just Trump. This is what the right wing does. They take one isolated case and use that for an excuse for their authoritarianism, while ignoring the real issue or the real perpetrators, which are, in my book, 98%, it rounds up to 100. So it's basically almost all of these mass shootings are done by white males. 98 rounds up to 100. So basically, like I said, every mass shooting is done by a white male. Every single one. With the tiniest little fraction is done by other groups. But you might as well just round it up and just say they're all done by white males, and you would be more true than trying to pin this on trans people. You'd be more correct. Mad Max says the guy is effed up and is part of the Orange pedos' plan to destroy the USA. Stop them all. I'm not sure we're talking about RFK Jr. Now I am skipping. I'm scrolling down in the chat, and I am needle dropping. So, just so you know, if I'm skipping over some of your valuable chats there. Indivisible River Ant says roller derby had fighting women was cool. Yeah, it was cool. Go check out the KC Bomber. I'm a big fan of the Kansas City. I forget if it was called the Kansas City Bomber or the KC Bomber. I think it was Kansas City Bomber. And it's a reference to roller derby. It has nothing to do with bombs, okay? And it starred Raquel Welch. If there's any way you can get that movie, go watch it. If you're a guy, you might need to keep some tissues handy. I'm just saying. Because it's sad. Jen Up the Base is here. Hey, Jen Up the Base. Thanks for coming on in. Jen Up the Base says, Trucker Don, did you have a crush on the legend Joni Weston? Like I said, I don't remember any of their names other than Raquel Welch, who just played that in a movie. He was never in a real league. Anyhow, did you have a crush on legend Joni Weston of the San Francisco Bay Bombers? No, absolutely not. Any teams from anywhere in the Bay Areas, I automatically hate. But just let you know, even though I love the Bay Area, I think it's a beautiful area. It's very beautiful areas. The whole entire Bay Area is one of the most beautiful areas in the state. But when it comes to sports teams, I automatically will hate them. Anyhow, she and Big Bill Grohl probably annoyed you dominating the Thunderbirds. Like I said, I barely remember. Now that you mentioned the San Francisco Bay Bombers, I think I do remember that name. But yeah, it's all very fuzzy to me. I just remember it was cool. The bank track, the helmets. They would have they would have all the girls out or the ladies out, and then they would come back in, and then the guys would go out, and they had to like whip the person across the line and get a point. I don't know. But and they would knock into each other and block each other, and it was cool. I really liked it, but I don't remember the names and shit. Apparently, Jen does remember the names and was into it. Christina Weibel says, I was born in 61 and I started smoking at 13. Mad Mac, Raquel Welch, yes. Be still my beating heart or whatever. That is a crush that started at some time before I was even in puberty, Josh says, okay, I'm normal again. Yeah. I hope that doesn't come back, the ats thing. Damon Dog says, Roxanne, I'll make a list of these pre-rolls and put it in your Blue Sky messages. WW John is saying that he's a boob man. No, I'm a well-proportioned man. I think Raquel Welch, she did have a lovely bosom, but I think it's just the overall, I'm not just a boob man. Otherwise, I'm not into the. I mean, Dolly Parton is a beautiful person. She seems like a beautiful human being. I've never been into that. Like, let's make my boobs, 5 times bigger than the rest of my body. I'm not into that. But some guys, they're like, hey, the bigger the boob, the better. No. I'm not a boob man. I'm a well-proportioned man, and I think Raquel Welch was perfectly proportioned. She's a specimen. She was a physical specimen. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I would follow bodybuilding a little bit here and there, and sometimes more than other times. And so I got to know some of the like Franco Colombo and I think the little Italian dude, the black dude. What was his name? Lee something. I don't know. There was a bunch of dudes, and then Arnold, and there was all these guys. And I always thought Arnold Schwarzenegger, he might not have had the biggest biceps or the biggest whatever. That didn't sound right. But he had symmetry. The reason he won I believe the reason he won so many Mr. Universes or whatever, Mr. Olympias, is because of the symmetry and the proportion and it all. Because some of those guys are and they win, they're champions, whatever, bodybuilders. They are misproportioned. They're too big in certain areas and not big enough in other. But Arnold, if you look at him in his heyday of bodybuilding, really before he got into acting, he was a perfect physical specimen, in my opinion, when we're talking about bodybuilding. And Raquel Welch, the same thing, perfect physical specimen, beautiful, gorgeous, but it wasn't just boobs; it was everything. She was just, and she wasn't like a bodybuilder. I mean, she was just beautiful, But look, I like a nice ass. I like a nice legs. I'm not a boob man. I like it all. I like it all, baby. There are a lot of probably even like A cup women that I would find extremely attractive, and B cup. You don't have to have a fucking triple D or whatever, or however big it goes. That's what a boob man. A boob man is someone who wants like, quadruple F size or whatever. At least that's how I would think of a boob man. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I think I like a little bit of everything, man. Mad Mac, talking about Putin, says, I believe Mad Mac says the shithead, I think we're talking about Putin, also bombs American buildings in Ukraine to troll the chicken shit orange pedo rapist. Yeah, and he also bombed last week, I think, some British area, just some living quarters. It wasn't even a military target. It was where some British, I guess they were either like military, I don't know if they were military consultants or military trainers or whatever, but Putin found out where they were living, their living quarters. It was just a street, they were like apartments, and he bombed those. I don't know if any of the English guys got killed, but I think there were some injuries and definitely some damage. So Putin's a son of a bitch. And the sooner we can be rid of his fucking taking up oxygen on this planet, the better. Individual River says Southeast Arizona is nice also in the mountains. Oh yeah, maybe way down there by yeah, I'm trying to think of what that is. I've driven through there. Okay, it's 11. 60 minutes. I know Boston Brian is doing his thing, but I'm doing my thing. So that's just the way it goes. Marsha says YouTube is acting weird. All right. I wish they'd leave our names as they were and quit going back and forth. Well, now it looks like it's all been changed back. I'm not seeing any ats. So let's just enjoy that while we can. Hopefully they don't change it back. Hopefully they don't. I don't know. Red Max says it's all good. Then I apologize for individual ranch for misunderstanding. Like I said, I think maybe that was some sarcasm there about RFK and all that shit. WW, my screen names are pretty cool are pretty close to my account name. You probably think they're pretty cool too. MJ Daniel says herd immunity from this GOP really just means eugenics, and they all use the same bigoted code for it. Not even very subtle either. Damon Dog says Boston Brian's now live. Time for Trucker John convoy raid. Yeah, like I said, if you guys go over there, say hi from me to Brian. But Damon Dog's out. He's like, Boston Brian's on. I'm out of here. All right. I know who you really love. Who you love more. Individual Ranch, I have 2 other channels, so there's 3 more subs. Awesome. And it says, did you get TJ? Did you get Powerball ticket? I did not. I don't have a car. If I had a car, I would have driven to the state line to get one. But because it's like 50 miles, so I didn't go down there to do it. The Lucky Minute says Powerball rolled over Saturday. Maybe I'll get a fare that will take me to the state line. I've had fares in rideshare to the state line. I've never had a cab ride that far. MJ Daniel says, I remember roller derby. I watched more of the wrestling out of Portland, Oregon. Is it Rest in Peace Oliver or is it Rip Oliver? I don't know. Playboy Buddy Rose. Maybe it's Rip Oliver. I don't know. Jimmy Snuka. I thought it was fun until they went all soap opera in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, it just got worse and worse and worse. Jolie says, I like Boston Brian once in a while, but I prefer more relaxed and funny atmosphere. Hal is enough Sparks for me. Absolute outrage every second is too much for me. My nerves can't take it. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I hear you, Jolie. Individual River Ranch says they hate trans people. They are crazy according to what I've seen. And I think we're talking about probably MAGA in for the most part. And really basically all of the GOP. They hate this little tiny community that makes up less than 1% of the population, and they make them a main focus, and they create a lot of fear, and it gets trans people hurt and killed. Trans people are, I think, the most, physically attacked group of people in the country. And it's all because of this hate that comes out of the GOP. It's been coming out for decades, actually. Jolie says, yes, it's Kansas City Bomber. Have you seen the movie? And do you think Raquel Welch is gorgeous? Even though she's playing like a sweaty, whatchamacallit, roller derby lady, girl, woman. Still beautiful. Hey, I haven't seen that movie in 50 years. I'm just going by, just so you know. This is my memories as a 12-year-old or 13, whatever it was. All right, that's what's resurfacing here. Just so you know, I don't think I've seen the movie since the 70s when it came out. Maybe one time, maybe I caught it on TV or something one time, maybe in the 80s or something. I don't know. But now I wish that I owned it. Just for old time's sake. Roger Dodger's here. Roger says, I feel the same, Jolie, but Hal is far more annoying politically than Brian. And if I wanted to watch PBD 3 days a week, I would. Well, I love Hal Sparks, and so I think he's a great guy, and I think he's right on about he's right on, I think, about so much stuff. But I will say that some of those videos get dragged out. Like, what was it? Was it yesterday? What was he playing? Was it Trump? Which clip was he playing yesterday? And I literally fell asleep on the couch. I think I fell asleep on the couch for like an hour. And I had Hal playing on the TV. I literally fell asleep, and I woke up, and he was still doing the same clip. And I was like, "Oh my God, you're still doing the same fucking clip, Hal?" It was, I think it was one of the Trump ones or something. I forget which one it was, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going back to sleep," But still, having said that, I think the Hal Sparks Show is still like my favorite show, other than Liberal Dan, which is the best show on the internet. Those are my top two. Anyhow, Liberal Dan and Hal Sparks. MJ Daniel says they also keep bringing up school shootings to try and force their religion into public schools, but since Columbine in 1999, there have been something like 27 church shootings. What they keep trying to force, I think, with these school shootings is the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That's what they keep harping on. And Trump just brought that up again the other day, I think, about wanting to arm teachers and shit. And remember, and there's many servicemen who have served with distinction, or whatever he said, that are teachers. That horse shit. That's what I see them always bringing up. William says Raquel Welch was funny when she did Seinfeld. Mad Max says Raquel's boobs were fake. My mom always dissed her for that. I didn't care I don't care either. And whoever did her boobs did a great job. And that doctor should be given the Medal of Freedom, or should have been named the Surgeon General. Anyhow, again, I'm seeing this through my 13-year-old eyes, because I haven't really seen that movie or much of Raquel Welch probably since that age, that time frame. So this is all my 13-year-old mentalities coming to the surface. I remember that, and what was it, 1,000 years BC, 100,000 year BC, where she's running around in like little caveman loincloth. I mean, probably a horrible movie, but that's another one that was in my 12 or 13-year-old memory, and is right up there. Go check that one out. I think it's called 100,000 Years BC or something like that. Jen at the base of Trucker John, we're talking about the finer points of greased up dudes. No, I was just talking about how Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't have to have the biggest biceps or the biggest quads or whatever to win like 7 years in a row, Mr. Olympia or whatever it was. It's not necessarily because someone said I was a boob man, and I was saying that I'm not a boob man. I'm into well proportioned or whatever, and so I started thinking about Arnold. He was well proportioned, and he won because he was well proportioned, not because he had the biggest muscle of something. Take that how you want to take it, Jen. Wherever your dirty little mind might take you. You do you, boo. Marsha Jones, Raquel has everything. Yeah, she was gorgeous. Marsha says, thank you, Trucker John. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, Mad Mac, Raquel Welch died in 2023. I know she had recently died, passed away. Rest in peace, Raquel Welch. Rest in peace. You beautiful, gorgeous, dead woman, you. Indivisible River Ranch Tombstone. Now, I don't know what that's about. I know that's a movie. Don't know why that's... I am skipping down. A bit. Mr. Spock is here. Live long and prosper. Mr. Spock, thanks for coming on in. Jolie says, I have seen the movie, and yes, she's a total babe. Thank you, Jolie. For backing me up on that. Josh says, Roger Dodger, he's such a douche. I beg your pardon. Jolie says, I've fallen asleep several times watching Hal. Me too. And I love Hal. Josh says, Hal bugs me when he pauses a clip every 10 words. But it kind of, me too, kind of. But he does do that, to emphasize something that needs to be emphasized. Roger Dodger says a couple of GOP senators nailed him hard. Real gotcha moments. I am mid-thread on some of these conversations, so I'm only guessing you're talking about grilling or nailing RFK Jr., I hope. There's Jolie with the Liberal Dan link. And Liberal Dan, there he is, comes on Mondays and Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central Time. And there's the link. If you haven't subbed, go over there and give Liberal Dan a subscription. They're free. It doesn't cost you a dime. It takes 2 seconds to do it. Go over there, sub to Liberal Dan, and give him a look. Give him a look. It's a good show. It's a real good show. It's a real good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Liberal Dan Show. I'm gonna change Liberal Dan's theme. It's time for the Liberal Dan Show. I don't know. Individual River says it's good when they eat their own kind. I think we're also referring to maybe the RFK Jr. deal. Mr. Spock is finished plucking, now to clean them. Are you killing your chickens? Is that what's going on over there? There is, Jolie's putting the links to the Buy Me a Coffee and to the PayPal accounts. So if you want to go that route to help support the show, keep us going. Real quick here, I'm hoping to get a new computer. And thanks to you guys. So I think that will help the show if I can get a new computer. And actually by new, I mean used. I'm looking at some used ones that I might try. And they're really cheap, like $299 for a new I'm not new for a used or a what do you call it, reconditioned or whatever. They say they rate it as being like excellent condition for $299. I think I might do that. Roger Dodger, that is literally 75% of most of his shows. Are you talking about Hal Sparks again? I guess, not Hal isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I think Hal Sparks is very intelligent and makes a lot of sense. I don't agree with everything. There's certain things that I won't agree with, but he does say stuff that makes you think. Like the other day, I do like what he said about where he kind of I guess criticized maybe people who say that healthcare should be a right, and I was kind of like, fuck yeah, it should be a right. I'm saying to myself, I may have even posted something like that in his chat because I think he may have read my chat out loud to everybody, and but I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, it should be a right. But then he made an argument about how words are important and how we should frame things, and that instead of saying that it should be a right, we should say that should be government's responsibility. Now I don't remember exactly how Hal explained it because I'm sure he did it better than what I'm about to do, but it made sense to me because he was saying that, to the Republicans and the right wingers and especially MAGA, when you start saying that it should be a right, they're not going to hear anything. They're not going to. They will not accept that it should be a right. Even though all of us on the left are like, yeah, it should be a right. It just seems like a no-brainer. But if you really want to get to them or have them listen to you, and not just for that, but I mean, Hal Sparks actually thinks that it should be the responsibility. And he kind of outlined how the government, any government really, should have responsibilities to its citizenry to keep them safe and secure. And having a good healthcare system and making healthcare available to all of its citizens is it paramount? Is that the word I'm looking for? To keeping its citizens safe. So it would be a government responsibility. So if we're trying to get healthcare, like a universal single-payer healthcare, Medicare for all type of a deal, if that's what we want, and we do, I think most of us, then we should probably be saying, instead of healthcare should be a right, because then they'll just say, oh, that's the left wing mumbo jumbo. They want to make everything a right. We should say that should be a government's responsibility. And I think that makes sense. And I know I'm kind of butchering the whole explanation that Hal did. Maybe there's a way of going into Hal's channel and doing a search words. Maybe I don't know if you can get right to where the video. It was a live stream that he did probably just last week. I don't know if there's some way to actually just pinpoint and get right to it or not. But I know that Hal explained it way better than I did. But I agreed, and he turned me around because at first I was like, "Fuck you, man!" I was like, "This is me sitting on my couch, right?" And I'm yelling at the TV. I'm like, and Hal's saying that that healthcare is not a right. It should be a responsibility of the government. And at first I was like, "Fuck you! It's a right. It should be a right. Healthcare should be a right. God damn it! We should make it a right. It'll be a right if we codify it, and we make it a law. We can make it a right." And as I was watching Hal, I'm like, "No way, Hal, you're wrong. It should be a right." But then as he did his explaining it, he completely turned me around to thinking, you know what? I think you're right, Hal. And I think I wrote that in the chat. I'm like, you know what? I think you're right. I think it should be government responsibility. Responsibility, it carries more weight than just saying it should be a right. Because rights, we know, can be taken away, as we've seen. Roe got taken away. So make it a government responsibility, where it's baked in to the government as being something that the government is responsible for, making sure that every single person in this country has access to good quality health care. That should be the government's responsibility. That carries much more weight than saying it should be a right, I believe. Anyhow, I know I butchered that, and Hal Sparks explained it better. And if you can find that part of the wherever it was, I think it was last week. If you can find it, go look for it. I don't know. I don't know how you look for that kind of stuff, but maybe there's a way. Maybe there's a way. Josh says, I like when he gets Phil Ittner on or someone like that for a proper discussion. Yeah, he gets good guests on, and Hal Sparks is a great show. If fucking Tim Pool and these assholes and that Benny motherfucker, of course they were propped up by Russia money, or even assholes like the English fucker, what's his name? That one punk, or even Glenn Beck or Alex Jones. They can get fucking millions of fucking viewers and subscribers and all that shit, and just pump out fucking horse shit, just total horse shit, and they get all these subscribers and all these views. Hal Sparks, I think, whether you agree with him or not, he's a truthful guy and a smart guy and has a lot of really good ideas, and is on the right side of history. I think he should have as big a show as any of those motherfuckers in terms of viewership and subscribers and all that. Without a doubt. Mr. Spock, it's processing. Okay. Send me a chicken, though. I'm hungry now. Fry one up. Aaron West says, yeah, I'm back home with better Wi-Fi. Glad you made it home. I'm way over 2 hours. I know Brian's been on. He's playing clips from, I think, some of the Epstein victims that they're saying they were never contacted by the DOJ. I think that's what he's playing, because I've seen this clip. They never got contacted or had any kind of communication really with the DOJ, and they should have been. There should have been some communication there as what they were doing with their investigations, and that they were going to let Jizzface Maxwell out of a secure prison and into this very low security prison, Mr. Spock, that's the number one rule: do no harm. Indivisible says these people harm and don't care. Call it wasteful spending. Yeah, it's wasteful spending to have cancer research, but Donald Trump, I haven't heard really anyone bring this up, but he scheduled all these flyovers with military jets to fly over the the Epstein victims press conference that they had yesterday, just so he could be a dick and try to disrupt the press conference by making noise with his stupid jets. Not that they're stupid, but what he did was stupid. That's not cheap. Jet fuel ain't cheap. Sending jets out to fly around That costs money. I don't know. Maybe we could have spent millions of dollars for all I know. I don't know what they cost, but or occupying cities unnecessarily. The DC occupation is costing, they say, $1 million a day. I bet you it's even more than that. They'll blow money on shit like that. But we don't have money for cancer research. We don't have money for Medicare. You know, the hypocrisy, it just never ends. It never fucking ends with these fuckers. And I think the masses have about had it. The masses are asses, but the masses are slowly having enough of it. MJ Daniel, I consider health care to be included in the general welfare clause of the U.S. Constitution, so it could be considered a constitutional right and a responsibility. Yeah, well, cover all your bases there, but you understand, like, because, and I agree, MJ. I'm not saying I don't agree with your post there, but you know, the Hal is talking about, you know, there are people going around saying healthcare should be a right. Healthcare should be a right, and that type of nomenclature isn't going to resonate with a lot of people on the right. But if you start saying, you know, this should be a government responsibility, then that might be a better choice of words. You know, I think that was the main point of what, if you're trying to convince the other side, words matter. Whether you agree with exactly in this case what word would be better, that's a different thing. But the main thing I got out of it is that words matter more than we might think. The changing of that one word from right to responsibility, when you're talking to right-wing people and you're trying to make an argument for a national health care system, a universal single payer system, or the shorthand for that, Medicare for all, I guess, is the shorthand for that. If you're trying to make that, I guess, argument to a right winger, you just might get through a little bit better if you don't use the word or the terminology that it should be a right. They don't seem to like that for some reason. And they might be more receptive to saying, hey, this should be a government responsibility. And also there's more behind it than just this sort of trick. I mean, there's you know, a government responsibility is something that the government has to do. Yeah, Rusty Trombone, MJ. I still can't remember the fucker's name. Mad Matt Gorka. Remember Gorka? Gorka. Russell Brand, right? Russell Brand. That fucker's on his way out, though. Because he's a fucking predator, abuser. He's going to lose his whole platform. Yeah, MJ Daniel, how much did that fucking childish temper tantrum cost? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But I know it wasn't free. It cost money if you scrambled jets. And it was a whole, I don't know how many it was. I just saw a report that he scrambled these Air Force jets to go around and fly around and go, you know, do these flyovers and make, you know, disturb the thing. It ain't free. It ain't cheap. They got no problem doing that. You know. Donald Trump thinks nothing of dropping, who knows, hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars on his golf trips. You know, the motherfucker's golfed more than all the rest of the presidents ever combined. Going back to his first term and the second term, he's golfed more in just 5.5 or 4.5 years as president than all the rest of the presidents combined. And I didn't even look that up. In fact, I just now made it up. But I challenge anyone to challenge me on that. I'd be willing to bet that Donald Trump, in 4.5 years or however, over 4.5 years as president, that he has golfed more times than all the rest of the presidents in U.S. history combined. I'm not even going to look that up. That's how confident I am in that being a true statement. But I don't have facts to back this up. Rest in peace, Herman Cain. Another victim of Donald Trump's botched COVID response, but also a FAFO right there for Herman. FAFO to the ultimate. Josh says the right to bear arms is not a responsibility to own a firearm. It's an option. So right to health care is kind of like an option, is my understanding of the argument. MJ Daniel says, not going to listen to Brian right now. He's talking about Charlie Kirk, and I hate that giant forehead asshole. Indivisible, yeah, I've got him on. Oh, yeah, there's Charlie. I can't stand looking at it. I looked at him for a fraction of a second, and I think I felt a little vomit kind of come up in my mouth. I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Indivisible River Ranch says, talking to MAGA is like trying to feed my cat most of this stuff they don't care. DPD 5844 says, I want to know, when will the military men and women stand up and say, fuck you? These orders that they are carrying out are bullshit, blowing up boats, military on the street. Wait. Blowing up boats. Okay, I guess then military on the streets, fly over. There's going to be I think there's going to be a line there too. But you know, Mad Max says the excuse was the flyovers were to honor a Polish pilot killed recently in an air show. Yeah, like they give a fuck. Like fucking Trump gives a fuck, right? Marsha Jones says, look at his military parade for 45 million. Yeah, and 19 people turned up. Exactly, Marsha Jones. He'll drop 45 million on this stupid parade just because it was his birthday and he wanted to have like a big, like Russia style, China style, big ass military parade. And talk about the military kind of saying fuck you. They kind of said fuck you on that parade. They weren't marching like they can march. We've seen those fuckers march. They were just sort of shuffling. They were kind of shuffling along, and they were kind of like, fuck you. This is lame. Some lame ass bullshit. MJ Daniel says, probably a good thing DJT is so distracted. Imagine the damage he could do if he actually tried to do his job. And MJ, I've kind of thought of that too. I'm kind of like, I was talking about how he golfs. The only reason I kind of have an issue with him golfing so much, besides the cost, like if he's flying off and he's got to take security and all this kind of stuff, and that costs a lot of money. But I've also thought you know what? The more time he's on the golf course, maybe it's the less time for him to do damage to our country. Other than that monetary expense. So I have also had the thought, or that, okay, just keep him on the golf course. If keeping him on the golf course as much as possible is going to keep him from doing more damaging shit, harmful shit, then golf away, motherfucker. You know? Yeah, Marsha says, like he cares about a dead Polish pilot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mr. Fox says, I say we give them fake bear arms in exchange for their guns. MJ Daniel, DJT does not even care about his dead ex-wife. No, he first of all had her murdered, probably, and then used her casket to probably bury a bunch of documents that he stole or something out of the White House. One Vision says, I want a Trucker John parade. I'll donate $5. A one-man parade is what it would be, I guess. I don't know. Marshall Jones, right to bear hairy arms. Yeah, you've seen like the joke, like a joke or a cartoon or something, like the right to arm bears or something, and it's like I think a bear with a gun, or the right to bear arms, and it's just like people with like their sleeves cut off. Josh, he should golf in thunderstorms. Yeah. All right, guys. I did catch up with the chat. Thanks, guys, for being here. I'm at 2 hours and 42 minutes. We do have battery issues, so I should end the show so we don't die on the vine, so to speak. Thanks for being here, guys. What day is it today? Thursday? So I'll be here tomorrow, Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, right here on the good old YouTube Sugar John channel. I'll see you guys at 11 a.m. and we can pick up the conversation. We can pick up right where we left off if you guys want to. I don't mind. But a new day will bring new things to talk about, I'm sure. Hopefully we'll get to 4,000 pretty quick. At last count, I saw we were at 3987, 13 away from hitting the big 4K. So let's get to 4K all the way, and let's do it. Thank you. Yeah, thanks Jolie and Aaron for being here. And thank you all. One Vision, and I see Marshall Jones and everybody. Mad Mac. Thanks, guys, for being here. I'm going to go make something to eat. I didn't have really much breakfast, so we're going to shut down and we're going to fire up the stove there and going to make something omelet or something. I don't know. All right, guys, you guys are awesome. Thanks for the support of the show and all the likes, subscribe, the shares, the donos, all that good stuff. Only thing left to do is make sure you guys get your pad and paper, or pad and paper. Paper is usually pad. Pad is usually paper. Get your pad and a pencil or a pen, crayon, Sharpie. You're probably going to want to write down the words of wisdom. All right. So for today's words of wisdom, are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for today's words of wisdom? All right, here we go. So write this down. All right, guys. So just make
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. We'll have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes. Might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes. But if we did, I'd be only too glad. So hasta la vista, baby. The show is over, but could I ask you maybe to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid. But doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the Trucker John live stream. Yeah, the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win, right here on the Trucker John live stream. No, this time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. Don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again.
Rolling down the highway in my rusty old rig. I'm a retired trucker, but my spirit's still big. Living in Vegas, where the lights never sleep. Broadcasting my thoughts for the world to keep. From politics to pop culture, I've got it all. Sharing my views, no matter how big or small. Talking about food, the movies and bugs. Shining a light on all the social issues. No shows, I've driven through the desert, seen the city so bright. But now I'm living in a different kind of fight. From my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. My apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. down to take a trip down Paradise Road. But it ain't that pretty, it ain't paved with gold. Everybody's got the dirty little secrets, everybody's got some things unknown. But if you ain't real careful, baby, it'll cut you down to the bone. Under all those bright lights, you've gotta learn to ignore the glitter. It's all about fight or flight, and you don't wanna do either. So go on down to Paradise Road, it'll make you wish that you were young. But all it'll do is make you feel old and regret trading in your love for lust. It's all just a big charade, it's all just one big game, and it ain't about love, it's all about the thrills. It's about staying in the hunt, it's about going in for the kill. So head on down to Paradise Road, that's where your friends are now. They're the people that nobody knows. So go ahead and make your big show. So live it up on Paradise Road, just don't let anyone know. It'll be your dirty little secret, it'll be your guilty little pleasure. Living a secret that the whole world sees, hiding in plain sight among the scum and the thieves. It's so damn hard to ever be pleased. Everyone wants to live the good life, everybody wants a piece of paradise. But where would you run? Where would you hide? What would you do to buy a little more time? Grandiose dreams of happily ever after are really just another day's end. And when the sun goes down, you just lay there wondering, can you really do it all again? You're praying for one last shot, you're hoping for one last big win. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along.